Thanks for joining this presentation of work on the benefits of subsidized employment. It's joint with Tanya Barham and Brian Cadena at Colorado, and I'm Patrick Turner with the Lab for Economic Opportunities at Notre Dame. Episodes of unemployment, especially long-term unemployment, negatively affect the trajectory of a person's career. While unemployment rates recovered in the wake of the Great Recession, the share of the unemployed who are long-term unemployed remained relatively high. Among the broader set of active labor market programs aimed at addressing long-term unemployment, subsidized employment programs are seen as a promising policy tool because they allow an individual to gain additional work experience, thereby preventing holes in their resume. However, the evidence on the effectiveness of employment and training programs at improving adult earnings is mixed. It could be that a particular program focused on one component, emphasizing only training or only reemployment, and was not well targeted to the particular situation of the participant. On the other hand, it could be that heterogeneity in program impacts led to differences across study populations. Indeed, many programs target a narrowly defined group, such as the recently incarcerated or TANF recipients. In this paper, we take advantage of a randomized control trial evaluation of Rehire Colorado to reconcile the mixed findings. Specifically, we focus on two questions. What is the impact of rehire on participants' outcomes after they leave the program, and what types of participants benefited most from the program? Rehire is an enhanced transitional jobs program. Program participants were eligible for a temporary job with a local employer, with the state covering up to 30 weeks of the participant's wages. In addition, participants' case managers had access to a variety of other tools to address barriers to employment, including training and flexible financial assistance. Because of its broad eligibility criteria, Rehire served a relatively diverse set of participants, though recruitment did target three priority groups: veterans, individuals aged 50 or older, and non-custodial parents. Importantly, program access was determined through random assignment between July 2015 and December 2018, and prior to randomization, applicants had completed a detailed baseline survey that we used to test for balance and explore heterogeneity. We link applicants to administrative data to compare the experiences of the treatment and control groups across a variety of outcomes, including employment and earnings, and their direct assistance use of programs like SNAP and TANF. The following figures plot quarterly employment rates and average earnings over time by treatment status. The x-axis denotes time relative to application, where quarter 0 represents the quarter in which an individual applied and was randomized. The figures show good balance in outcomes prior to randomization, the portion of the graph to the left of the first dashed vertical line. We see similar balancing characteristics from the baseline survey. Following randomization, there's a sharp divergence in employment and earnings outcomes. While outcomes rise for both groups, the treatment group experiences a larger increase throughout the quarters they receive services, roughly quarters 0 through 4. We estimate intent to treat program effects by taking differences in means, and to improve precision and adjust for the fact that some applicants face different treatment probabilities, we control for stratification fixed effects and select additional baseline controls using a post-selection lasso method. During the year following random assignment, we find that access to rehire led to statistically significant increases in employment and earnings. However, we find no differences in SNAP or TANF participation or receipt amount. And we see these gaps persist through the second year after random assignment among the roughly 80% for whom we can observe these longer-term outcomes. Now, we'd like to be able to know whether these short-term benefits translate into longer-term gains for the treatment group. We'd like to be able to answer that sort of question without having to wait another 2 to 3 years. So to do this, we leverage data from a wave of rehire participants from before the RCT, for whom we can observe more than 4 years of post-application outcomes. We use their short-term outcomes to fit a model that predicts employment and earnings over the next 3 years. We then predict long-term outcomes for the RCT sample, forming a surrogate index. We estimate long-term impacts by taking treatment and control differences of this index and construct bootstrap standard errors for inference. Using this approach, we estimate a 5.6% increase in employment and an 8% increase in earnings during the second through fourth year following random assignment. Finally, we plan to leverage the detailed baseline survey to answer our second research question: who benefits most? In the baseline survey, we observe a number of characteristics, including barriers to employment they faced, as well as measures of personality, mental health, and cognitive and non-cognitive skills. Our rich baseline data will serve as inputs into machine learning tools designed to detect treatment effect heterogeneity. As that work continues, we document one margin of potential heterogeneity. These three figures show trends in employment by treatment assignment for the three priority groups. Rather than searching across all such subgroups that could be defined in our sample, the prediction from tools like Causal Forest will allow us to test in a disciplined way whether the detailed baseline characteristics detect meaningful heterogeneity in our sample. While this project is still very much in progress, we invite any comments, suggestions, or feedback you might have. Thanks.